JT Smith for the TFON podcast here for season 5, episode 1. And if you know or have been checking out the site, Bearcats played against Townsend last week, won 38-20. But this week they have a rival. I guess you can call it rival, quote rival. Pitt Panthers are coming into the building. And I have a special guest, Jim Hammett of PantherLair.com, part of the Rivals Network. Jim, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, JT. I'm actually heading out to Cincinnati for the game, so it's my first time in town, so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Oh, nice. When are you arriving?
I'll be out there Friday afternoon.
Okay, cool, man. I'll be at the game, so let me know if you got any if you need recommendations for any watering spots or something before.
Yeah, so, I'll probably hit you up on that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hit me up. Don't be shy, because it's a lot of the positive is I don't know how it's set up in Pitt, but in Cincinnati, where the campus is, it's a lot of stuff to do right there. And then if not too far, if you go downtown, it's 1,000,001 things to do down there, and it's probably about 10 minutes away from campus.
Ah, great. So yeah, I think Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are very similar size towns and kind of how they're laid out too. So
yeah, for sure. I've heard that. I need to get to Pittsburgh. I've never been, but I need to do it. It's not that far of a drive either, so I gotta stop being a slacker.
Yeah, it's not too far. So
cool. Well, last week you guys blow out Kent State 55-24. From a person that's watched you guys from last year to this year, and a person that you're actually covering them, you know, more boots to the ground than me. Like, what have you seen? What's the biggest difference of this team from this year from last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest change and just a huge change around the program is that Pitt brought in 5 new offensive coaches, and they brought in a brand new offensive system. So last year, under Frank Cignetti, Pitt ran more of a pro-style offense. You know, Phil Dracovic, and obviously he struggled as a quarterback, and that led the team to win 3 games. And you know, whenever you have a 3-win season, changes need to be made. So Pat Narduzzi this offseason went out and hired a new offensive coordinator, and he brought in Cade Bell from Western Carolina. And it's definitely a different change from Narduzzi. He's kind of a coach set in his ways and kind of likes to play, you know, kind of wants his defense to kind of be the star of the show. So, you know, bringing in an offensive coordinator who runs an up-tempo style that scores fast, that plays fast, and it's just a different change around this program. And so, you know, through one game, I mean, 55 points, 554 yards of offense, those are both higher than any total they had last season, even the past 2 seasons. So it's a completely different change. And so they kind of went from a slow, methodical, plodding offensive team to a team that's going to, you know, press the tempo.
And if everybody's followed Pitt, everybody know Narduzzi's defenses get after the quarterback. They get after, they're real physical. They normally play a lot of man. I guess we'll ask about like how their defense is looking this year. I know they had a lot of elder statements in the secondary last year, but the contrast now that you guys have an up-tempo offense with a physical defense, how do you think that's going to play yin and yang, you know, throughout the season? I know it's early, only coming into second game, but seeing a team, you know, like you said, they were super methodical on offense. Now they're running and gunning. It's almost like greatest show on grass. I mean, how fast they're moving, like the difference. Just give us a little breakdown on that, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the change, you know, that first time, because it didn't really happen on Saturday. That first time Pitt goes 3 and out and only takes like 30 seconds off the clock, because they do snap the ball every 7 seconds. So I'm kind of interested to see how Narduzzi kind of approaches it that way. But I mean, I think defense overall, I think last year, you know, Pitt's defense kind of built up a reputation of being a really good pass rushing team. I think they led the nation in sacks from 2019 to 2022. Had some really good players, and I think they took a step back last year, and in part because the offense struggled. I mean, they had no room for error. You know, at times the offense was going 3 and out, only getting, you know, 10 to 12 first downs a game. It was pretty brutal, and I think it just kind of taxed the defense overall. So even though the offense is moving a little bit faster and they might be on the field a little bit longer. I think just having the ability to score points on offense is going to help the defense just from a pressure standpoint more than anything.
And you guys have a new quarterback. I know it's been one game, but just talk about like what potential, what do you see him? His one game, he lit it up, but where do you see his potential like for the season? And how do Pitt fans, how are they accepting him from last year? They moved him to tight end after I think the UC game to now you have a young guy that looks like he has a lot of potential, like a lot of superstar power. Just how excited are you guys about this young man, and just like how do you describe his game per se?
Yeah, I mean, throughout training camp, there was actually a quarterback competition because the kid that started at the end of last season, Nate Yarnell, was back, and they brought in Eli Holstein, the starter now, as a transfer from Alabama. And obviously, if you went to Alabama out of high school, you were heavily recruited. You were four-star prospect, offers from everywhere. So when he arrived at Pitt, I think in the springtime, he wasn't 100%, and everyone kind of assumed Yarnell would be the starter. But I think during training camp, he got healthy and he started showing why he was a top 100 recruit, started showing why he had offers to go everywhere. And so his first game was really good. He showed a lot of potential. He hit on some deep balls. And the big thing is, like, with Pitt playing with a lot of tempo, he didn't seem overwhelmed by it. He was able to kind of keep the offense moving, spread the ball around. So yeah, I mean, it was the highest passing total for a Pitt freshman since 1989. I mean, he had a really good game, 330 yards, 29 completions. I mean, I think 9 different receivers caught a pass. So he did a really good job of just getting everyone involved. So yeah, I mean, whenever you have a freshman that was a former 4-star and he's already starting, yeah, there's going to be a pretty high level of expectations around him. Through one start, it looked pretty good.
That's for sure. That is 100% for sure. So, like, now we talked about the quarterback, and we know your running back, Rodney Hammond, he's out for the season. Let's talk about his replacement, because, everybody's kind of, saw his potential, Hammond's potential. Then for him to, be out right before the first game, it was like a gut punch. But how do you feel like how do you feel like Pitt will suffice with his loss, or patch his loss per se?
Yeah, I mean, his replacement is Desmond Reed, and he's a transfer from Western Carolina. So he played with Cade Bell previously last year, and so he kind of came in and he knew the offense. And the knock on him right away, and there's actually 3 Western Carolina transfers on this offense, is that they're small. I mean, they're FCS guys, like but they're in his debut, Desmond Reed had 231 all-purpose yards. He had a 78-yard punt return, a 45-yard touchdown run. He's very explosive, and he kind of meshes with what they try to do on offense. So, I mean, the questions about him are going to be about durability, just because he's 5'8", 170 pounds, but like he is very, very, very fast, and he had a couple breakaway plays that game. So, as long as they can keep him healthy, I think they should be pretty solid in the ground game. But if he were to get hurt, especially with Hammond being suspended, then the depth would be tested. But I think they're pretty confident, even though he's an FCS transfer. He proved that he can make plays, and that's kind of what they were talking about all training camp. Is like all he needs is a crack of daylight, and he's gone. And we kind of saw that in the opener.
And he had 9 receivers last game, so it's hard to say who the main target is. But from going through camp and everything, who do you feel like is the guy the Bearcats better have great coverage on, or it could be a long day for the secondary?
I mean, in the opening game, sophomore Kenny Johnson had 7 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. He had a couple really nice plays, and he's definitely a dynamic playmaker. People need to watch out for. I'd say, to just give 2 more. They're 2 of the returning guys. Kanate Mumfield, I believe he caught a touchdown in the Pitt Cincinnati game last year.
Yeah.
He's a senior. He's a good, solid player, and also tight end Gavin Bartholomew. I think he had a couple big plays last year. He's back, and over the past 2 years, the knock on Pitt was they just never got Bartholomew the ball, and everyone's wondering why. He's this big 6'5" tight end, and so he had 5 catches last week. That was the first time he had 5 catches in almost 2 years. So I think this offense is going to be more friendly to the tight end, and so I think those 3 guys right there, and talk about Reed. I do think they have some pretty capable weapons on offense.
It's going to be interesting to see how they match up. That's like the series or the matchup I really want to see how the Bearcats defense do against you guys' offense, especially with your tempo. Because last week they were up and down. So with the new 3-3-5, I want to see how they match up against Pitt. That's going to be pretty big for even for the season. I think it'll give them a lot of good tape, and if they match up well, then that's bodes well for for UC. If not, it could be interesting. So defense, I want to see you guys offense against our defense pretty much all day. Or at least I'm gonna be like really digging into that part of it, trying to really make sure I'm paying attention on that. And go to the defensive side of the ball. You guys are known for being aggressive. Everybody knows that. The Bearcats have a very experienced offensive line. Who is the guy that has to be the game wrecker on the defensive line for them to be able to make some noise and cause some confusion in the backfield?
Yeah, I mean, I think Pitt has developed such a great reputation on the defensive line through the years, but like this group does not have that one guy yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they're still kind of working to see who that's going to be. So I mean, the team had 5 sacks last week, 12 tackles for loss. So it was kind of a by committee approach. So I can't really say. I mean, I think Nate Matlack, the senior defensive end, he's one guy they were hoping they have pretty high expectations. They have a couple different defensive tackles, Isaiah Neal, Nakai Johnson. There's a couple of guys there. So that's kind of a work in progress. We're still trying to figure out who's going to be that main guy in the defensive line. There's a lot of options right now, and they're kind of working through it to see who's going to be that main, top force on the defensive line.
All right. And in the secondary, Xavier Henderson. For the Bearcats wide receiver, Xavier Henderson is the go-to guy. Everybody knows that. Who will be the guy? Will it be by a committee approach, or will it be more like if they do Pitt? Does Pitt have a guy that you think if it gets sticky, it's third down, and Xavier's cooking a little bit, they're going to put a certain person on him, or they just kind of going to play it by the side, like the wide side and boundary per se? How do you think they're going to play that, and who is the kind of like the corner that you feel has the most potential to be that kind of person if need be?
Yeah, I mean, when looking at Pitt secondary, safety is the strong spot, and corners a little bit of a question. Last week, they started 2 brand new starters at corner. Last year, they had 3 seniors, and they were the only ones that ever really got on the field. They never really developed a backup. So this is kind of brand new for a lot of these guys. Rylan Gandy made his first career start. And Rashad Battle, who's he's a veteran, but he's missed the past 2 years with injuries. And they also brought in Tavon Lynham, a transfer from Nebraska. So those are their 3 main corners. And I thought they played well in that first game. But the real strength of the secondary is safety. They feel really. I mean, Donovan McMillan led the team in tackles last year. Javon McIntyre is a pretty high level player. They feel good about their depth with safety. So yeah, I think there's not going to be one way they specifically guard Henderson. They kind of do the field boundary thing. There's no real like lockdown corner, I guess, if you want to say. So it's interesting because Pitt plays a lot of quarters defense, so that kind of puts your corners on an island. And the big thing that makes a Pat Narduzzi defense successful is getting home on the quarterback. So it kind of plays off each other. So if Pitt's defensive line kind of gets that pressure, then it kind of alleviates what the corners have to do.
Makes perfect sense. So with all this information, like how do you see the game going on Saturday? And sorry, man, whatever. You don't have to be easy on us just because you're on the pod.
No, I mean the thing with I've been like checking the line and stuff, and it's kind of hovered from like 1 point to 3 points, and
Yeah.
I think when I look at that, it tells me nobody really knows. I think there's just so many question marks when one team plays a MAC team, the other team plays an FCS team. Both teams are coming off 3-win seasons. It's like we don't know a lot about these teams. There's transfer quarterbacks on each side, so really there's a lot of similarities about the situation for both sides. I mean, when Cincinnati was in the college football playoffs 2021, I think Pitt won the ACC in 2021, and for them to like both be 3-win teams 2 years later is kind of crazy. I didn't expect the drop off. So I really don't have a good feel for the game. I mean, I think Pitt's offense has improved. I think it's going to be maybe a little bit more on the high scoring side. So I'm
Yeah,
leaning, I think like 38-35 and kind of a toss up in that regard.
that's fair. Honestly, I was looking at it like a lot last night, and I was like, it's a coin flip game. I feel like I think whoever plays the cleanest, but I feel like it will be a shootout. I feel like everybody's scoring over 30. Like, and if nobody doesn't score, whoever doesn't score over 30 is like 28. Like I feel like it's definitely going to be a lot of points scored on Saturday. So yeah, I won't say anything just because you didn't give a direct answer on that. So I will piggyback off you and follow your energy on that one. Um, so just let everybody know where they can find your work and where they can tweet at you, they can heckle you, they can do whatever they need to do, and let them know where they can bother you at a little bit on the social medias and the websites.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Jim Hammett, or I guess X now, at Jim Hammett, 2 M's, 2 T's. And you can catch us. We're on the Rivals Network, pantherlair.com, panther-lair.com, pittsburgh.rivals.com. We've been previewing the game all week. So if you want to kind of get a glimpse from the Pittsburgh point of view, we've had stuff going all week.
Hey guys, make sure you check out Jim and his site. He does a great job. Been very showed a lot of hospitality to me. So y'all don't be as bad on him and beat him up too bad because he covers Pitt. I know how our fans can get. So show him a little bit of respect. Don't be disrespectful, But yeah, you gotta have fun. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. Look forward to meeting you at the game as well because our press box isn't that big, so it's no way unless. I don't know. It could put you at one end. I don't know how many scouts are there, but it shouldn't be too bad. So I know I'll be able to run into you, man. Definitely hit me up if you got any requests or something. Are you trying to see what food places and or drink spots? I don't know if you're a drinker or not, but a lot of decent beer places and good stuff like that. So that'll be it for this one, man. And we're signing out. Let's see.